first of many entertaining and enlightening shows that will be coming your way. Our show today promises to be a magical one. We'll even have a bird's eye view of the man behind the magician. So please welcome my guest today, Mr. Presto, the Digitator, also known as Fred Broder, the Compton College professor and local shop owner of a magic store here in the Long Beach area. Fred, I haven't even started, and it's already amazing how you could maintain 3 professions such as that.
Well, sometimes I wonder if I can succeed at it myself.
It's kind of like having your cake and eat it too, huh?
Well, yeah, except that you do some things because you thoroughly enjoy them, and I seem to have the type of mind that finds everything interesting. I tell you, magic has been my relaxation. It became a hobby for me and then turned into a profession. And that's the way I like it.
We have your name displayed here. For any particular reason?
Oh, yes. This morning I got to thinking about what does one do on a television show, and I thought maybe I would try an experiment in ESP with you. Now, my name is spelled P-R-E-S-T-O, and for some reason, a reason known only to you, one of those cards, one of those letters seems to appeal to you. Now, for the first time, will you tell me which one it is? Is it the P, the R, the E, the S-T-O? Which one of those appeals to you?
The S.
You sure? Okay. We'll take the S, and we'll gather up the cards just like this. Now, it's always an interesting thing because, you see, you've chosen the S. I'd like to show you something interesting about these. These are called blue aviator cards. They're blue-backed. Now, we have those blue backs, and those. So that actually what we have here is 5 blue-back cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue-back cards. Yet this morning, I sensed that you were going to choose the S, and to prove it, will you please turn over that S, the card you chose? Perhaps you'd like to explain why the only one in that packet was red. Now, that's a 1 in 6 chance.
I don't like to be tricked. I always want to figure these things out. Of course, you don't give away your secrets, right?
I never give away my secrets. That is part of the magician's code. But more than that, it's the interesting thing. You see, a magician only has a secret. He can use some equipment. He can dabble with all sorts of words. But essentially, he has a secret. And if he gives away that secret, that means that from then on, he will no longer be effective. So I wouldn't think of giving away a secret. But of course, the interesting question is, why do you think that was a trick? You don't believe that I actually knew what card you were going to pick? No,
I don't question your authenticity. It's just that what I saw and what took place were just 2 different things. So.
Well, let's try something. I say that is a bit of mental control, but this is a trick.
Okay.
It's a fun trick. Okay. Have you ever heard of photosynthesis? You have, good. I, being an inventor of magic, have invented photosynthesis. That's a little harder than photosynthesis. At any rate, it takes a packet of cards. These cards all are identical. They're the 4 of diamonds. I have a 4 here. I have a 4 here. I have another 4 here. I have a 4 here. Oh, and a 7. I forgot to tell you the 7. That's why I call it photosynthesis. The other word to explain is photo. Photo means take a picture. For instance, if I take a picture of the 7 like this, and I tap it, it develops into a 7. If I take another one of the 4s, develop it, it becomes a 7. It doesn't matter how often I take a picture of a 7. Photosynthesis guarantees that it will become a 7. You see? Now, of course, a lot of people say to me, Presto, what are you going to do with all those 7s? And I say, I play a lot of poker, and when I tell a person I've got 5 of a kind, they better listen.
Oh, Folks at home, I'm sitting here, seeing is believing, but I don't know if that's true here. Fred, let's get a little background on you. When you
Sure.
first started, you had a really unique debut, unlike any other professional magician. You started at the top, the Magic Castle in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Now, most magicians, having practiced their acts for quite some time, may not have the opportunity to play at the Magic Castle. Some may never, ever. What happened to you? How did that take place?
Well, in the summer of 1970, I was invited to the Magic Castle, my first visit, and I fell in love with the place. So I decided I would love to become a member. But at that time, as a lowly teacher, I couldn't afford a $500 membership fee. And I was told that if only I were a magician, I could get in a lot cheaper. So I spent the entire summer haunting the magic shops, reading every book I could find, and building a little magic show. I got lucky enough to meet another magician, a professional, who came over to the house lured by the promise of French steak and wine sauce. I can still remember it. And he looked at my little show and he said, "Why aren't you a member of the castle?" Between the two of us, we talked the Larson brothers into believing that I was a well-known magician from back east. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I chose the name Presto, because there must be a dozen Prestos floating around. And so my debut, the first performance I ever gave, was for membership at the Magic Castle, and I was billed as their star of the evening, their special performer, and I performed live at the castle, the very first show I ever did.
My, tell us what happened, though. Let's take it a little step further. You performed for how long?
At the castle?
They give you
the
half
shows
hour?
were a half hour. You were told to take approximately 20 minutes, which would give enough time for the audience to leave and the new audience to move in.
Now, your performance reaped an extra surprise at the end.
Well, I don't know whether it was an extra
We
surprise.
had talked earlier about this, and he performed for an hour
Yeah.
and was asked to perform again. And how much longer did you go?
Oh, I kept going for another 45, 50 minutes. But that was just a fluke. That was luck.
That was fantastic.
The most important thing about it was that I decided if I could fool professional magicians into accepting me, that I should be able to fool a normal audience. And that was when I went begging for shows. And I can still remember I started for $15 and did an hour-and-a-half show.
Ooh.
I forget how many pennies an hour that was,
How
but
fun.
it was.
Do you
a
have
start.
any particular style? I know a lot of magicians, they have the vanishing acts, they have rabbits being pulled out of hats. Do you have anything that's unique to your own style?
Well, basically, no. I have 4 different types of shows, but because I own a magic shop, I have ingress into an awful lot of other tricks, and I love to vary my show. Many magicians will set up what they consider the perfect show, and 20 years later, they're still playing the exact same 5 or 6 tricks. With me, every show is a matter of loading up my bag with 30 times more than I need and getting out there and deciding on the spur of the moment which one to use. My favorite, mentalism, is sort of a thing where I tend to lecture. Being a college professor, I would say that that comes naturally to me, and I feel comfortable in the lecture cycle. A lot of people say that I am probably the Don Rickles of magic, because I love to have members in the audience bait me, and then I can play off them.
What type of shows do you have?
Well, I have special children's shows, probably the hardest group to work for, children.
You would think they'd be the most entertained, the most curious about tricks and magic.
Well, children have a problem. They're young, they haven't learned about reality. They don't know what is real. Therefore, unless you do something very startling, they'll accept it. What do you do when you finish a magic trick where you've made something wonderful vanish? And they say, well, sure, we always expect things to vanish. You know, it's in childish fantasies. Children are also skeptical. They cannot be misdirected. With an adult, there are certain magical tenets. An adult says, look, and everybody follows that action. But with a child, the hand is going, they're watching the other hand. The child hasn't built that knowledge.
Right.
And it's sort of funny. If you take a simple thing like this and you tell a story. Now, this is a vase. I know you won't believe this, but this is the original vase that the genie came out of. That's right. It comes from Arabia. I paid a great deal for it. There, it's marked right here, 15 cents,
right.
Of course. But it doesn't matter because this vase is a fascinating thing. You see, inside here is a little genie, and this is a rope. And when you want to, you tell the genie what to do. For instance, genie, grab hold of the rope. Now, any child will know that you can talk into a bottle and get a genie. Genie, grab it. And then you feed the genie the rope. And immediately you grab it and say, look, the genie got the rope. And the children know better. They look at that and they say, nonsense. And then you say, well, gee, I don't understand it. It always works. Now, the interesting thing about it is that somehow it seems to fool. You're dying to see what it is, aren't you? Well, look, here. You go ahead, you put it in, and you'll be amazed. Just all you have to do is be nice to the genie.
It's empty.
It's empty. And if you put the rope in, we lose Aladdin's bottle, don't we?
Let's see. Okay.
See? But it's an interesting thing because, look, I'll take the rope, I'll just simply turn it upside down. Now, I'm not holding it in any way. As a matter of fact, it stays. You see? Now, a child will accept that. He won't even question it, and you have to sell him on the idea that somehow there's some magic involved.
You don't have to sell me, I'm sold.
A very strange
I know
thing, yes.
Oh, goodness.
But that's children's show magic, and really the secret is to love children. If you don't love children, you're going to be terrible at it. I do what I call an adult stand-up show, where I do magic and straight magic strictly for the adults. Then I also do some close-up magic. Now, you saw that with those aces.
Okay.
You can do close-up magic. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
Do you ever go to Vegas?
Oh, about 5 years ago.
About
It's been a
5?
while.
Oh, has it? I go to Vegas about twice a year because, you see, I like to visit my money. No, it gets lonesome for me. I walked into a casino about 2 weeks ago, and I threw down some dice, and I said, I want to play with my dice. For once, I want a fair shake. I'm going to use my dice. They said, you can't. I said, why not? Those are ordinary dice. He said it wasn't that. His complaint was that they only used 2 dice, not 3, and I was trying to play with 3. I said, gee, that's easy. I'll take the red dice, I'll take the green dice, I'll put the white die in my pocket like that, and I rolled 3 dice. Now, maybe you didn't see that. I took the green dice, I took the red dice, and I put the white dice in my pocket and rolled 3 dice. People always say to me, how does that work? And the answer is this white die. This little tiny white die has mystical, magical powers. You see, if I take the white die and put it into my hand and take the red and the green, put them into my pocket, just like that, how many dice do I have left?
You just have the white one.
Oh, you're right, I just have 1, but you see, it's a little bit more than that. Of course, it didn't work in Vegas either. The man looked at me and said, okay, sucker, your point is 19.
You love this, don't you? You love doing this. You've got to.
Magic? Sure.
Is that just a part of your expression of entertainment?
Well...
Why do you get involved with this?
I've been a ham since I first took the lead in the Christmas play in the 5th grade. I love audience. I love audience applause if I can get it. And I've always felt a little bit handicapped when I acted in plays. You see, then you have to worry about other people. You have to worry about somebody else's lines. And when I discovered magic, I found out that everything depended on me. I was the solo performer. And I love applause. What is it? You walk as far as you have to get a chance at it. And that's what I'll do. And I love to perform.
Oh, well, you do it real well. Much enjoyment comes out of that. How much time is actually spent in perfecting your acts and getting some kind of organized show together?
I think any magician alive would say not enough. There's no limit to magic. I started a little later in life, and I'll probably be learning magic for the rest of my life. But, I would say 2 or 3 hours a day are actually spent on practicing or on reading and trying out new tricks to see whether I like them.
Now, is there a school for magicians? Is there a circuit you follow to pick up new acts?
Not really. There are a few shops across the country who will offer magic classes. There are a number of colleges now offering magic classes. I understand Harbor College, Pierce, even Long Beach State has a short class which is for teachers who are going into elementary education. The idea of holding the children fascinated and keeping their attention longer by being able to do a magic trick is their motivation. But essentially, you start reading, you get interested, and if you're in a big city like this, it's much easier because then you can go to the local magic shop and meet other people and find out about clubs. There's an International Brotherhood of Magicians, which has over 12,000 members across the country and has hundreds of chapters in all of the major cities.
That brings up a question to me. With that many people involved in the profession of magic, why aren't there more top billers? When I think of top magicians, I think of Doug Henning, I think of David Copperfield and the Magical Animal Act of Siegfried and Roy, but not anymore after that.
Well, there are hundreds of good magic acts performing, but magic doesn't translate well to television. David Copperfield, Doug Henning, Siegfried and Roy always have to put out disclaimers. They'll say, what you're seeing is live, there are no camera tricks. Because magic has that tendency to be equated with, they turned off the camera and moved that. And it makes it absolutely impossible to convince an audience. And if that's bad, mentalism, trying to work with the mind or ESP, is virtually impossible under television circumstances because it's so easy for the good old beer drinker at home to say, he told her what to say, and that would spoil any kind of attempt to be mental.
You mentioned mentalism, and you do use that in your act quite a bit. Do you get a lot of skepticism? I mean, that seems to be a common reaction when it's compared to magic, which a lot of people do. Is it an illusion, and I don't know if you can tell me this, or is it a real psychic, natural ability? It just seems to have a serious note to it as opposed to magic.
Well, with magic, there is no doubt that there is trickery. Nobody ever doubts that this magician really didn't make the elephant disappear. They know there's a trick. But mentalism is sold as if it is the real thing. Now comes a terrible problem. Is it the real thing? And that is where the question lies. Magicians have gone around for years trying to debunk mentalists and downcry mentalists because, well, it started with Houdini, and Houdini running around and denouncing the spiritualists, and it became a very popular thing to do. Now, most magicians will work mental tricks, There are books out on how to fool people with mental tricks. But most real mentalists refuse to give demurs. They refuse to say, no, this is all trickery. They say some of it's real. A mentalist can't promise to have exactly a flash of insight on camera or right before a crowd, so we always have tricks. We always cover with tricks. If the mentalism isn't working tonight, the big secret for all magic and all performing is entertaining. Okay. You can't just say, sorry folks, no show tonight, I can't get a thing.
There you go.
So you have to do something. For instance, I brought an envelope here tonight, and I thought we'd have some fun with it. It says, Presto Predicts for Ms. Sanchez. Now, inside this envelope is a prediction that I've made about you. We have had no previous contact. I haven't talked to you about this before, so you don't know what's coming. I'm going to ask you now to think of a friend. A friend. I don't know who this friend is, but I'm going to ask you to select a friend whose phone number you happen to know. Okay?
Okay.
You've got somebody. Could be a friend, a family member, an acquaintance, your cousin Tilly. I really don't know. Now, so that we won't get embarrassed, will you give me the initials of this person?
GS.
GS. Okay. Now, I would be terribly embarrassed if GS got some strange phone calls, right? That wouldn't be too swift. So will you please give me just the last 4 digits of GS's phone?
1667.
One what?
667.
God, I wonder if I got that. Well, I made a prediction. Let's find out. Now, inside here, as a matter of fact, you'll see that it's hot sealed. Remember the old-fashioned hot seal? Well, let's just find out. And I want you to draw this out, because if I were to take it out, somebody would say it was tricky. There's a piece of card in there. Would you take that out, and would you read to your audience exactly what it says and see whether I was close or not? This happened about 10 o'clock this morning.
That's terrific. You will name GS 1667. I'm amazed. I am amazed. I am amazed. That is fantastic.
Well, now you see, a skeptic would say, wait a minute, there's got to be a trick here. He had a little midget running underneath here handing him slips. But I
saw nothing. That was just all too amazing. And the thing about it is that you will share these types of tricks with others. You do have a magic shop in the Long Beach area.
Right.
When I went to visit you, it was filled with kids buying all kinds of magic acts. And you obviously see it as a good hobby for children.
It's a clean, healthy hobby. It's one where kids first have to read. They have to learn coordination. They learn timing. They learn how to face an audience. And it's rather exciting to watch kids mature and grow. There's even a Long Beach club called the Mystics, which deals with young people under 21. But the kids who come into my shop usually are just starting, and they haven't got a lot of money. That's probably why no magic shop I've ever heard of has ever made big money. But it's exciting to watch these young people develop and mature, and when we can help them, we do. A magician, contrary to the old public idea, will indeed share his secrets, but only with another magician.
That's so good. That is so good. And where's your shop located? I know it's in Long Beach.
It's in Long Beach on Atlantic Avenue, 5701 Atlantic, just about a block below South Street.
And if anyone needed to make arrangements with you for performance, they can contact you where?
They can contact me at the shop, or my phone number, if I'm allowed to give it, area code 213 is 428-3882.
Fred, we have time for one more trick. Think we can do it?
Well, I don't know why not. You know, the magician's biggest fear is making a mistake. I can remember one time I was up on stage and I had these 3 ropes, each one a different size. And I said, look, I have 3 ropes that are exactly the same size. Everybody started laughing. No. And I said, but look, they're the same size on this end, but not on this end, of course. I don't fool anybody with that. But if you put all the ends together, they immediately become the same size. Just like that. Now they're all the same. No, I still don't fool anybody because there seems to be a confusion in the middles. Little middle, 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 and great big middle. Well, it's easy. You take it and you blow it, and you wind up with ropes that are exactly the same size. See, this one is this big. That's as big as it ever will be. That one is the same size, and this one, of course, is the same size, too. That saves me when I'm on stage. But what happens when somebody says, gee whiz, what do you do? And you want different ropes. Why, then you just simply hold it and you say, presto. Let's use little magic. You've got a small, a medium, and a great big large rope. So a magician has to learn to bail himself out. You know, you're sitting there, you're holding these strange things. I have a brilliant idea. People love this idea because it scares them. Very sharp needle. Now you know that what you're about to see is an illusion because it cannot happen. Watch closely and we'll see what happens when we drive a balloon directly through. Now if you don't succeed, you just keep puncturing until it blows. This one's being a little bit arbitrary. Look at that. This is cheap rubber. Oh, well, what the heck.
Woo,
but I don't understand that. See?
Oh, and I'm sure you have many, many more, don't you?
Oh, we have a closet full of them.
Oh, golly. I appreciated all these tricks that you brought to us. I'm sure the folks at home really enjoyed this. And if they need to get a hold of you, they can contact you at the Presto Magic Shop in Long Beach.
Right.
I want to thank you for being my guest today,
And
Fred.
thank you so much for inviting
It's
me.
a real pleasure. And we'll see you folks at home at our next show. And thank you for joining us.